Vibranium, I can never get soft. I move squares, trying not to get boxed.
If it's cool, I'm ready to get into some, just because I know you got to go to some LeBron stuff, because I know you got some gems. So how long have you known LeBron, just firstly?
Yeah, I've only known him since, well, that's not true, because I was going to say that I've only known him since September of 2014, but we actually, when my career began, I was working for much smaller newspapers here in Northeast Ohio, and he was a rookie and a second-year guy.
Long time.
And so we had met before, certainly, and I'd actually even covered a couple of his high school games at Akron, St. Vincent, St. Mary. I was like a part-timer at the Akron Beacon Journal. So we had crossed paths then. I had known him like very well since when we worked together in September of 2014, because the Plain Dealer hired me not to cover the Cavs, but to cover him. At the time, we had a guy to cover the team, and they brought me in to just cover him. Like, I went to all the games, home and road. I wrote about him every night, whether it was like something he did on the court, and then if not, maybe something he said or something he was doing in business world or whatever. So, and there's only been maybe one or two people in sports history who have had a job like that covering a specific athlete. So
crazy.
That's a cool. You had one of the coolest jobs in the
world. That's incredible. That's
a crazy job. That is a crazy job.
Coolest jobs in the whole world.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad work if you could get it, and so that's how our relationship began.
That's cool.
So what was the first meeting like the actual altercation?
Interaction.
The interaction, interaction, yeah.
No. Well, so the thing is that he knew, he knew that I was there and knew that I had been hired for this specific purpose. So in the beginning, he was very leery of any question that I had, but he was also he was watching me, he was watching how I grew up. And no, this is LeBron.
Yeah. LeBron. Makes sense.
It's LeBron James.
And he knows everybody who's in the room at every moment, and he knows what they're doing there, and he's watching you. And he saw that I wasn't out to get him, and he also saw that I worked really hard. I went everywhere he went. I asked him hard questions that he thought were fair. There was something that happened early on. He had he had given this interview to GQ, but it wasn't the magazine. It was for some video blog that the GQ website had at the time that he didn't think anybody would see. And it was this thing where they came to his house and they were in his closet and they were looking at his favorite shoes or whatever. And he had in there I can't remember if it was a motorcycle jacket, I think it was. But he was bragging about this motorcycle jacket, and he was talking about how he was riding motorcycles in the summer in Akron. And I had my Google alert set up so that anything that ever popped up about LeBron on the internet came right to my phone. Yeah. So I saw this and did spit out my coffee, what? So the Cavs found out that I knew about it. And LeBron's people found out that I knew about it, and they had no practice that day. So the next day, everybody knew that I was coming there to ask him about this. And there was so much tension in the air, when he did his official interview. But he took my questions, he answered them a little bit more tersely than he normally would answer a question, but he answered them. So then the media session breaks up. And everybody, all the media, we're standing there on the baseline at the gym, and LeBron's getting some extra shots. And I'm just standing there, and he mind my own business, and he goes, Hey, Joe. I'm like, yeah? He's yelling this now. Everybody can hear it. And he's like, can we swear on your podcast?
Yeah, for sure. I
Joe, what's your motherfucking address? And I'm like, And he's like, no, I'm not even. Like, I'm just gonna mail you the damn bike. I'm just gonna mail it to you. And I'm like, I tried to walk over and like smooth this over. He's like, no. I'm not fucking with you right now. Just leave me alone. I'm just gonna mail you the damn motorcycle.
It's amazing.
Wait, did he?
Damn.
Did you get the bike?
Didn't even know he didn't.
He trolled you.
I told you guys, LeBron be capping.
LeBron be capping.
That's crazy.
That's so fantastic. That's fantastic.
Next time you meet him, you got to tap him on the shoulder, be like, "Hey, I told these 4 random kids from the UK that you owe me a bike."
Well, this was the Saturday. So Game 7s are always on a Sunday, and this was the Saturday before Game 7 of the 2016 Finals.
No way.
And we were like, it was practice day at the now defunct Oracle Arena, and I. By this time, obviously, we've been working together every day for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I said I needed him for a minute as he was walking off the court. So he said, sure. And we were talking about his growing up in Akron and sort of how he understood what was at stake here, like getting Cleveland its first championship in however long and the first one in Cavs history and kind of what that would mean to LeBron, the kid. And he gave these really great answers. But then in the meantime, we start talking, and we both, like, he knew that I was also born in Akron.
Yeah.
But what we didn't realize is that for a time, we actually lived on the same street at the same time in Akron. There's this one street, it's long, it's called Woodward Avenue. And I lived on the, I guess, I'm trying to do the directions in my head. I guess it would be the southern end of it, and that he was staying at his grandmother's house, which would have been several blocks away, like I think north. I guess I guess it would be north. But yeah. So for a time, like, and I'm 4 years older than him. So, but for like a maybe less than a year in the early '80s, right before I moved to the suburbs with my parents. We lived on the same street, and it was kind of cool to find that out, like the day before he delivered pretty much the greatest moment in Cleveland sports history.
What was his mindset like those few days? Like right when he realized, okay, I brought this shit back to Game 7. Oh my gosh, it's my fucking time to take over this fucking shit and bring back and do the greatest comeback in NBA history. Like, was he just like calm? Like, was he focused? Because I'm like, what does the greatest basketball player in the world look like 2 days before a Game 7?
Yeah.
Like, there's been all this stuff that's come out, about how when they were down 3-1, and both he and Ty Lue and also the general manager at the time, David Griffin, how they had all talked about, listen, like, don't get on this plane to fly out here for Game 5 unless you believe that we can win.
Coming back to Cleveland Game 6, yeah.
So that's fine, and I'm sure that's true. It's documented, but at the time, no one had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in an NBA Finals, and it didn't look good. It just things didn't look good at the time, and they had blown Game 4. It was terrible, and it was devastating, and so the Warriors, on the first availability that before Game 5 out there again in San Francisco and Oakland, this was in Oakland, and the Warriors went first. And so the Warriors are up there on the podium while the Cavs are walking into the gym. And LeBron's got on his wrestling T-shirt. I think it was The Undertaker maybe.
Yep.
And he's got his headphones in. He's chilling, not knowing what's going on. And in the meantime, the whole Warrior team is up there just killing LeBron for whining and
calling him a crybaby.
Draymond Green.
Yep, they're calling him a crybaby.
And I'll never in a million years forget Klay Thompson up there telling LeBron this is a man's league. And
that's crazy.
The four of us at the time, you couldn't have drawn a straighter line from where we were sitting to where LeBron was. I mean, we went straight for him. And we were like, did you hear what Klay just said about you?
He's like, Klay said what? Say that again?
He's like, oh, really? He said that, huh? And I mean, from that moment on, I mean, he went 41 and then game 7 triple-double with 27, 14, and 14.
So are you saying that he did that because are you instrumental in LeBron?
No. if on my run to him, I had like fallen and broken my ankle, like somebody else would have. Like,
yeah.
So I give all credit to Klay Thompson. I'm just saying, when you ask me about his mindset, like, maybe he believed already that they could come back and win, but Klay telling him
trigger something.
Just like
Klay,
poking the bear.
Klay poked the bear. Yeah, he poked the
big
bad bear.
You know, it's not about how it's done; it's about who did it first. So you know what, Joe? You bought Cleveland a ring. So
fine, Joe. Okay, Joe. Fine.
You know what? We're giving that one to you.
When was the moment? Because obviously you covered LeBron so long. When was the moment when you was like, "Is it a game?" I want to see if you watched the game, watched him play, and you realized,
damn, I'm covering LeBron.
Greatest of all time. Like, not just great player. Go.
This is an all-time. Like, this is a legendary basketball player.
Future champion.
Well, geez, I mean, because he had so many moments. I mean, you know, I remember, like, at this point, I was covering American politics at this point when he had his night against the Pistons in the
the 26 straight points. Was it 26?
Scored like 25 in a row.
Yeah.
And so I mean, there's that moment, and just dragging that terrible Cavs team to the finals as a kid, that was amazing. And then like the things that, I mean, Boston Game 6 with the Heat in 2012, like, oh my God, like with 45 and 15, I think he had that night. So there's all these moments already where you know, like, you're talking about, like, you know, the Tiger Woods to Michael Jordan's Jack Nicklaus, like something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, to come to Cleveland with all of the history, all of his history with the organization, and having grown up here, and the way he left, and how bad things had been since he left, and then also just like how miserable like sports luck had been here for so long. For him to win and to do it in the way they did it, being down 3-1 against the all-time greatest regular season team in NBA history, that cemented his legacy. It didn't matter what happened next, and of course he's only grown his legacy because he's incredible. But it didn't matter what he did after that moment, you know, June 19th, 2016, because, you know, that was the zenith.
How cool was it the year when he went crazy, when he won the Indiana? He beat Toronto and then beat like Indiana. There was a year when he went crazy. He was like closing games out. The one we closed out the Indiana game, jumped on the announcer's table, and it's just like, guys, this is exactly what I came here for. This is exactly what I came here for.
You know, I mean, that was so that was 2018. That was his last year here. And it was just this like outrageously incredible, like, goodbye tour, even though he had never really acknowledged that he was in fact going to leave. But it was moments like that, like, you're right, like when he hit that shot against Indiana, and he's up on the scorer's table, and then they won. I can't remember which game it was, against Toronto, where he hit that fadeaway, running the wrong direction.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my God!
You know, I mean, for as unreal as those two shots were in those two moments, like, I think what people don't even like remember, and this is something that Tyronn Lue like brings up to this day, is the Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals against the upstart, very young Boston Celtics at the time. LeBron played 48 minutes in that game. He played all 48 minutes. Like, after the postseason he'd had, I'd never seen anything like it. He played all 48 minutes, and that was certainly, I mean, like, you know, more commendable than either of those two shots you guys are talking about.
Do you know what that you just remember that just makes? Is that the same year when he dropped 51 in Game 1 against? If he did that after,
he was.
He's a lunatic. He is a lunatic.
And I mean, it's That was devastating, for that team and the organization, because I mean, I don't know if anybody's played a better finals game.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that the best finals performance you've ever seen?
Yeah, well, I mean, the night that he and Kyrie both had 41.
That was
that was good.
That was special. That was really special.
That was pretty good.
Like, I watched that 51 game performance, just like, okay, like, this is ridiculous. This is really,
it was, and of course, it was just like, when you think about that night, you think back to JR and you think back to bungled. And, overtime was a total disaster, and then he punches the wall and breaks his hand. But yeah, I mean, what a moment. And, they wouldn't have won the series, but it would have changed everything. I mean, I bet the series went at least 6 games at that point.
Sure. Amazing. Any final questions, lads?
We had so many, and then everything just evolved into LeBron I was going to ask about the perceptions of JB Bickerstaff going forward. I know it's been absolute chaos. How's the situation looking for him long term?
It's always hard to say in this league. It's hard to really put a number on anybody's longevity. But with that being said, I think that he's done very well. The players really like him. If you think about whatever problems they've had with Drummond or the problems they had with Kevin Porter Jr., those were not with the coach. No. Whereas problems that happened last year in Cleveland were with the coach. And so I think JB gets really high marks, and I'm happy for him, and I hope he gets a chance. I do. I hope they give him a number of years to really try to grow this thing.
Sure. Amazing stuff. Oh man,
it's been
gentlemen.
I'm pressured out.
Yeah,
so many gems.
You gave us
really
an hour of your time.
Really and truly, just mind blown. The LeBron stuff always just gets me back into that time, that epoch of my life when I was there. It's sort of because you always remember where you were when this stuff was going on. It's just, it's insane. It's insane how much he's done for the game, and just how close you are to him. To be hired to cover LeBron James is ridiculous. It's something that I'm very envious of. I hope one day we get somewhere up there. Thank you so much for your time, though.
Oh my gosh, this has been wonderful.
I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm really glad you guys invited me, and it was a lot of fun.
Because obviously we're the Banana Boat crew, and obviously LeBron's in the Banana Boat crew, so you can see the inspiration. You can already see.
I caught
that. Most people don't.
Obviously, not the real NBA fans or NBA writers would obviously get it. Would obviously get it. But yeah, man, we really, really appreciate you for coming on here.
Thank you so much.
100%.
Thank you.
My pleasure, guys.
We're just some kids from Europe, man. We're just from
the Europe.
Europe.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Stay warm out there in Cleveland. We know
a few more weeks. Gotta hang on a few more weeks.
Bad weather coming.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have you on again next year when Cleveland All-Star. Hope we can get some more gems for you, man.
Let's do it.
Let's appreciate it. All right, Joe.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much, Cheers. Take care.
Vibranium, I can never get soft. I move squares, trying not to get boxed. In the last quarter, could've won awards for my trap prowess. I was turning turnover all mad hours, reminiscing about the days I used to have hours. Hit 2 licks in like 2 hours. You gon' need a brown box and some cute flowers.